Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. It's been a couple of weeks since we've last had a chat on a Friday night. So I hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year. Let me know what you've been up to. How have things been? Anything exciting that you've done for the new year or over the holidays? How's everybody doing? I'd love to hear from you in the chat, so let me know. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about coffee and coffee, if it is good or if it's bad for your gut health. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Coffee is probably one of the most popular drinks out there. So coffee, juice, soda, those are all pretty popular drinks, and tea as well. So I thought this would be kind of a good topic to go over because maybe you've tried coffee once in your life, maybe you've never had it, maybe you have it every day, but let's see how it impacts your gut health. So I'll go over that and we can kind of talk about that. So yeah, let's just have a bit of a casual chat right now and then we'll jump into some coffee stuff. Okay, so hi, what a roller coaster week. Oh wow, interesting. Let me know why your week was a roller coaster. Maybe with the I know there's like a lot of changes now with like where I am, the lockdown, so that kind of impacted a lot of things too, with things being shut down. Happy New Year to you as well. Don't drink coffee, but definitely time to eliminate mayo once and for all. Okay, yeah, okay, so maybe you're not a coffee drinker, but maybe there's some other things that irritate you that you need to eliminate. So yeah. Um, so let me know in the chat. Who here drinks coffee? Are you a coffee drinker, like a daily drinker? I know there's so many people that need to have coffee every day. They don't feel the same if they don't have coffee every day. So let me know, is that you? Or are you somebody that has it more casually, or maybe you don't drink it at all? For myself, I I think I drink maybe one coffee a week now. I used to have it a lot more when I was back in school or university and studying and stuff. I would have one like every day. It was just part of my routine. And I did notice that that did irritate my gut. So we'll talk about that as well too. But right now I find that like if I have one a week, I kind of like having one here and there. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and I find that that's better. I find that it's better than having to be dependent on it every day. So yeah, let me know. All right, so I drink coffee on occasion for taste. It hurts my stomach. Yeah, interesting. So interesting that you said that. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, it can be irritating on the stomach lining for sure. So okay, so just let me know in the chat a little bit about your kind of like we're talking about now, your relationship with coffee. Um, do you notice that it bothers you? Are you okay? Can you have it every day? Also, like, does it affect your energy and stuff too? Like, I know if I have coffee anytime in the afternoon, I will not be able to sleep well. So, I don't know, how does it affect you? Does it affect you the same way? Or are you one of those people that can have it at like 8 o'clock at night and you'll be fine to go to bed? I used to drink coffee every day, but it started hurting my stomach. So now I have one every couple of days. Okay, yeah. So there's another person that's mentioning it's hurting their stomach. It is a common thing that it can happen. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, interesting. Used to have Starbs like every day. Helps with focusing, but hurts the stomach and gives the jitters. Can't sleep sometimes too if I drink it. Yeah, same thing. It can give the jitters, and that's because of the caffeine in it. So yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. So is coffee good? Is it bad for your gut health? Well, I think as we can see from some people here, it did irritate them. So not everybody will be irritated by coffee. Some people can have it every day and they'll say they're fine with it. But it can be irritating on the stomach lining, and that's because of the acidity. So it is acidic. The coffee, not even, I'm not talking about caffeine here. I'm just talking about coffee. So coffee is acidic. So that acidity can be a little bit irritating on the stomach lining, which then can cause some stomach pain, some burning pain, or some upset in your stomach. So that's one thing. Another thing is that it can also aggravate acid reflux. So that acidity can be irritating for the esophagus, can cause some, acid reflux and be irritating. So if you have acid reflux, I don't know, let me know if you have acid reflux and you have coffee, does it irritate you? I see this a lot with some people that have acid reflux. Trying to eliminate coffee or even just reducing the amount of coffee can be very beneficial. So that's just something to keep in mind with the acidity part of things. It can be irritating. If you've ever had gastritis, so that is inflammation of the stomach, you'll want to avoid coffee in those situations as well because it can irritate it again. And gastritis is something that can be caused by many different things. It can be caused by infection. So if you've ever heard of H. pylori infection, it can be caused by that. It can be caused by stress. It can be caused by medications. So if you use a lot of Advil or any anti-inflammatory drugs like pain medication, that can have a lot of impact on your stomach, which can cause some inflammation in the stomach. And then if you have coffee on top of that, it will make things worse. So I would suggest, if you have any sort of stomach issue, to kind of heal things first, take a break from coffee or anything that's really irritating, and then after you can add it back in. That's kind of how it can irritate the stomach, is by irritating the lining. So there's that, and then there's also the way that it plays a role on your bowel movement. So let me know if you've ever had coffee and then you've had to run to the washroom after because it just made you feel like you have to go have a bowel movement. Let me know if that's happened to you. It's a very common thing to happen. So the caffeine and then a couple other properties in the coffee cause that to happen. They basically increase the movement in the intestines. It increases intestinal motility, which is basically just the movement in the intestines. And then it kind of gets things going, and then you'll have to go and run to the washroom, which is a common thing to happen to some people. So you don't really want to take coffee for the purpose of having a bowel movement. And I've heard people say this before, like, if I don't have coffee, then I'm not regular and I can't go. But you don't want to be dependent on coffee to have your bowel movements. You really should focus on having like adequate fiber, water, good healthy diet, movement in your everyday routine to encourage bowel movements, rather than focusing on the caffeine, because you're just using something in the sense of like a laxative if you were to use a laxative every day to have a bowel movement. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're using coffee for that reason to have a bowel movement, then you might want to give yourself a break from doing that. Reset your intestines and your bowel movements, and then you can add coffee back in after. So that's one way. Another way how it kind of impacts your gut. Okay, let's see what some people are saying in the chat. I changed to decaf because it keeps me awake and I can't fall asleep until 3 a.m. Yes, so we'll talk about the caffeine and the energy portion of things in a little bit, but definitely if you are sensitive, some people are more sensitive to others in regards to caffeine. So it's just the way our body metabolizes it. It's the way your liver processes things, and some people are more sensitive. Same thing with medication. Some people can be more sensitive to it than other drugs, right? Than other people are. So so if you do find that you can't have coffee, then it's best to like switch to decaf if you want to still have the coffee taste. I substitute it with a caffeine pill if I need a jolt on the rare occasion I need it. Okay, yeah, so maybe you don't want coffee for the taste, you don't really care about the taste of coffee, but you still want the caffeine for a bit of energy jolt. So you could have caffeine pill as long as you know you're able to kind of tolerate it. Another good thing you could have would be like green tea. So if you don't like coffee for the taste of coffee or the acidity, something like green tea still has some caffeine in it, and then it also has other properties, or not necessarily ingredients, but the green tea has some properties in it that help to calm you down as well. So that's things like L-theanine. It's just another fancy word, but L-theanine is something that can help calm you down. So maybe having like a green tea instead of having your caffeine pill could be another option too. Is decaf still acidic? Yes. So decaf is still acidic because remember I was saying it's that like not the caffeine part of things that's the acidic, it's the actual coffee. So yes, decaf is still acidic. If you find that you want something that's caffeine free, or if you want something that's not as acidic, there's different options. So you could try a tea, like a black tea. You have some caffeine in it, but you don't have, or you could do like you could do a decaf tea where if you're looking for a decaf option and that's not acidic, so like a tea would be an option. Or there's like coffee substitutes, and these are things like chicory root or dandelion root. They can come in already like powders where some of them you can actually put in your coffee machine, or some of them you just put with hot water. So these are they don't taste like exactly like coffee, but they kind of have that little bit of like rooty, earthy taste, and they're not acidic at all, and they don't have caffeine in it. So that might be something that you want to try. There's one that's called Dandy Blend. I've used this one before. So I can say it doesn't taste exactly like coffee, but it kind of still has that like strong smell that coffee would have, and it doesn't have any acidity or bitterness or caffeine in it. So that's a nice option if you want something different. So if you are avoiding it because of the acidity, then having decaf isn't gonna make a difference. It's still acidic. I do like the taste of it too. Tea doesn't affect my stomach as coffee though, as like much as coffee does. Okay, yeah. So tea is a bit more gentle on the stomach, and that's because it's doesn't increase like the motility as much as the coffee does, and then it also doesn't have that acidity-ness. So tea can actually be very nice if you have a green tea. Sometimes it does the opposite and gives me constipation. Is that normal? Interesting. So perhaps the way that it is affecting your like making you kind of have to go, and then maybe if you don't have it, it's causing constipation. Is that kind of what's happening for you, or do you have the coffee and then you have constipation? So just let me know, clarify with that, because what could be happening is if you have it and then you don't have it, your body that is not dependent on it, so you're not able to go. Or if you drink the cup of coffee and then you're finding you're actually not able to go, maybe there can be other factors that can be playing a role in that. It doesn't always increase bowel movements for people, but for most people it does. But maybe for you it is actually irritating your gut in the sense that it's not allowing you to have a proper bowel movement. What is motility? So motility is just the way that the bowel moves through the digestive tract. So the way that your stools move through your digestive tract. So like I was saying, coffee can increase that. It can make you go faster, make you have like an urgency to go. Okay. Everybody, let me know. So most of you sounds like you drink coffee or you've had coffee before, but let me know, what is your favorite way to take your coffee? What do you like? Or if you wanted it for like a treat or a special occasion, how would you take your coffee? Like, do you like it iced? Do you like it hot? Do you like it flavored? Do you like cream, or do you like almond milk? Or let me know. I want to know kind of what your go-to coffee flavors are. So for me, if I were to just have it on a weekly bases. Like I was saying, if I make it at home, I'll just put some oat milk or almond milk in it. I don't really like it too sweet, so I won't put sugar, but I find that like even if I get the unsweetened oat or almond, it does have a little bit of like a flavor to it. So I like that. If I were to go and like go to Starbucks or something like that, probably would get a little bit of vanilla or something in it because I like that. And then if it's in the summertime, I love iced coffee. I love having like an iced coffee with oat milk. So good. So yeah, but let me know, what do you like? Okay, so we talked a little bit about how it can impact your gut health, how the acidity can be a bit irritating, how it can increase acid reflux, how it can increase bowel movements, and you don't want to become dependent on it for that. Let's talk about in regards to eating and when you should have your coffee. So having coffee on an empty stomach also isn't the greatest, and this can be for a couple reasons. One, it can be because of that acidity. So that acidity that it can have on the stomach can irritate it if you have it on an empty stomach. So for example, having your breakfast first and then having your coffee after would be a better option because you have some food in your stomach. It's not the first thing that you have. Also, having a lot of water to stay hydrated is important too. So coffee is a diuretic, which basically means it increases your body's production of fluids and getting your urine out. So it makes you go pee more frequently. I'm sure you noticed if you've had coffee. So you should stay hydrated by drinking water with it. So having water and having a meal with your coffee can be helpful to prevent dehydration and prevent that irritation in your stomach. So that's helpful too. And then on the other hand, if you have it on an empty stomach, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but it can increase your cortisol, your stress response. So having it after a meal, like have your breakfast first and then have your coffee after, or even with your meal, rather than having it first on an empty stomach, can be helpful for that stress response to prevent those spikes in cortisol and increase the stress response or the anxiety or those jitters that some people have mentioned that they feel like jittery too. So having food in your stomach is probably a better option to rather than having it on its own. Okay, so let's see what some people are mentioning about their favorite coffees. Okay, so espresso or a macchiato from Starbucks, nice, yep. Milk and sweetener. So what kind of sweetener do you like there, Maria? Iced coffee in the summer and latte in the winter, very nice. I put in coconut milk at times as regular milk gets me bloated. Okay, yeah, so that's a common thing for some people to have irritation to dairy, so coconut milk is a good option. There's so many different dairy-free options right now, so that's nice. McDonald's iced coffees are good too, but RIP to your sleep. Yeah, so maybe some people, some different places might have like the different intensity of caffeine too, right? Depends if they're using like a dark roast or a light roast. I'm not really too familiar in regards to which one has more caffeine, but yeah, so maybe that one specifically irritates you more and can keep you more up at night. A treat is with cream, nice. So cream is a good treat. Hot Americano black, hot with cream, ice black, and ice with cream. Wow, nice. A lot of variety there. But yeah, Americanos are really nice too. So that's just like coffee with the hot water. I like Frappuccino too, but not as often. Yeah, so Frappuccinos are those like blended ones with like ice, and they're nice and creamy and cool. So that's a nice one. Okay, Splenda. Yeah, so Splenda is your sweetener of choice. Nice. So there's so many different ways to have your coffee. Some people mention like maybe regular milk makes them bloated, or the iced coffee makes them a little bit more jittery. So you kind of have to just find what works best for you, because everybody's a little bit different. Yeah, so those are the main things in regards to having coffee and how it can irritate your gut. Another reason why I always suggest having it after breakfast is sometimes people might have it first thing in the morning, and then it can suppress your appetite. So that's not the greatest thing if you're like just running off coffee to suppress your appetite and then you don't eat until lunchtime. A lot of times what can happen with that is you might overeat later on. If you don't have a good nourishing breakfast in the morning, you might then overeat at lunchtime, or you might be really hungry and then you grab for what's quick, like a muffin or something, or like chips or something like that, and maybe it's not the most nutritious. So that's why and then this goes back to gut health too, right? Because a good nourishing breakfast is important to nourish your gut cells, to provide fiber, to help things move along and get things going, and supporting your good microbiome. So if you rely on coffee first thing in the morning and then you don't eat anything till later in the day, that's not really helping your gut health as well. So that's just something to keep in mind if that's something you notice you're doing. Okay, so let me know, do you have any questions in regards to anything we talked about today in regards to coffee and gut health? I'd love to answer anything in the chat, and I'll just kind of recap a little bit about what we talked. So is it good, is it bad for you? And I think, again, like most things, it depends on your health, the way you tolerate things. So if you notice that you have acid reflux, if you have IBS, or even things like IBD. So IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. IBD is the inflammatory bowel disease. So those are conditions where you have inflammation in the gut. IBS is more so you have sensitivities, and you're impacted by triggered by certain types of food. So if you have those kind of conditions, then maybe having coffee every day or multiple times a day isn't the greatest thing for you to do, because it can be a bit irritating. So you might want to have it less frequently, or having something like decaf if you're noticing it's increasing your bowel movements. In regards to, we talked about how it can impact the stress response, so making sure you're having a good nourishing meal in the morning and having water to stay hydrated, so that can prevent any irritation and spikes in cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So those are some ways that you can help to prevent any issues that you might have. You don't have to completely avoid coffee if you like it. So it sounds like a lot of people like it. Maybe they have it from time to time. So if you like coffee, you can have it, but just notice if it is irritating you. Like after you have your coffee, did you notice, oh, maybe I don't feel so good? Then maybe it is something you want to kind of either reduce or eliminate for a little bit of time. Okay, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So I'll just let you ask me any other questions that you might have. But yeah, let me know if there's any questions you have. And everything you asked so far was helpful. So like we were talking about, yes, the decaf is still acidic. So if you are avoiding it for acidity, then you might want to avoid the decaf as well. So that was a good question. Yeah, I'd say in terms of tips, don't have it on an empty stomach, and make sure you're having lots of water, and then you should be fine with it, unless you know that it bothers you and it irritates you. And then some of the things like I mentioned, like alternatives. So green tea is a nice alternative if you want something that has caffeine. Green tea or black tea are good alternatives if you can't handle it for the acidity and the effects that it has on your stomach. If you want something decaf that's similar to coffee, then I talked about having something like dandelion root, so something like dandy blend or chicory root. Those are nice options as well. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it for today. So I'll leave the chat open for a couple of minutes. And yeah, thank you all for joining me here. I'll be here again next week and we'll talk about something new. Feel free to, if you have any types of topics that you want me to mention or talk about, feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll be happy to address those. Okay, if it bothers you every time, should you cut it out and try something different? Yeah, so I would say if it does bother you every time, cut it out, give it a break, and then try to see maybe the next time you have it like just the coffee black and see how that is. Sometimes you have to kind of do a bit of eliminating. So was it like the coffee, or was it the milk that you added, or was it the sugar, or whatever sweetener, anything that you added? So you want to kind of do a bit of elimination and see what it is. So I'd say like give yourself a break for a week and then try a little bit of black coffee. How did that work? Okay, if that was okay, then maybe next time have it with a different type of milk or a different type of cream or a different type of sugar and see. That way you can do a bit of an elimination process to see what it is that's triggering you. If it is the coffee, then you can try having it decaf and seeing how that is. And then if that still bothers you, then you know that you're bothered by coffee regardless if it's caffeine or decaf. So that I would say avoid it, like unless you really really want it. But if it does bother you, I always say like you kind of have to decide what's more worth it. Like do you want to suffer and just to enjoy the coffee, or would you rather just not be able to have the coffee but you'll feel better in your stomach? So you kind of have to see that. And then yeah, if it does bother you, then you know you don't do well with it, just don't have the coffee and have something else instead. It is known people drink coffee to become mentally, physically stimulated because they believe it gives them an edge or quicker. Do people make more effective decisions when they drink coffee? Yeah, so in terms of the caffeine, it has been shown to help with I've seen research for like tests, for doing tests and stuff like that, or studying and recall. I can't say for sure in regards to physical like endurance or running, athletics and sports, but I have seen for like helping with tests and giving you a bit more energy and helping with the recall. Yes, it can be helpful for that. But there are other things that can be helpful as well. So something like I mentioned, the L-theanine, that's a property in the green tea that can be helpful with that. There are some herbs that can be helpful as well. So rosemary is actually helpful for that in terms of tests. And then in terms of like endurance, are some ginsengs and stuff that are helpful for running and sports and stuff like that too. So there are other things, but yes, it can be helpful. The caffeine, I don't know if they isolated caffeine, like you mentioned, the caffeine pills, or if it's the coffee, but the caffeine specifically helps with that. Can coffee cause nausea if you don't eat? Yes, coffee can cause nausea. It can cause stomach upset and nausea if you don't eat. Even if you do eat, some people can still feel a little bit unsettled with it, but definitely on an empty stomach it can cause nausea. Or is their decision making hindered because they are moving too fast? Maybe, possibly. Where does the best coffee come from? Is it grown in Canada? I'm not sure where the best coffee comes from, but I don't think it is grown in Canada. I'm pretty sure when you go to those coffee shops, I don't see like Canadian blends, but I think there are, but I don't know if the best one is from Canada. That I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with the best type of coffee. But there are some pretty interesting tropical ones where certain animals, I think, have to like poop them out to poop out the beans, and they're supposed to be very, very good. Never tried it, but maybe that's something to Google and look into. But yeah, good question. Yeah. Okay. Let me know if there's any other questions. But yeah. So I think, like we were kind of mentioning, doing a bit of an elimination and seeing how it tolerates you. So like I was saying, maybe it's not just the coffee. Maybe there's something in the coffee that's bothering you. So maybe you're having cream or milk, or maybe you're having oat milk and that's bothering you, or maybe you're putting in some sort of sweetener or sugar and that's what's bothering you. So you kind of have to do a bit of an elimination, and see what it is of the coffee that you're drinking that's bothering you, and then give yourself a break from it, and then see if you want to add it back in or if you're better without it. Okay. Says we can't because of the climate. Yeah. So I don't think coffee's really grown here in Canada, but more so hot places. Colombia's what the National Coffee Association says is the best coffee. Interesting. Yeah, okay. That makes a sense. I think I've seen that when I've gone to Starbucks before, like Colombian roast coffee. So yeah, nice. Thanks for letting us know. All right. Well, everyone, if you enjoyed this video, if you like this video where we talk about certain things, give this video a thumbs up. That lets me know that you liked it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel so that way you can be notified every time I go live, and you can join me and join the community where we can talk about different things. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for your questions. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you're all doing well and feeling well and enjoying, the winter weather if you live here in Canada, or if you don't, enjoying wherever you are. So yeah, okay. Last comment was, I was thinking Russia, lol, joke. Yeah, I don't think that's a good climate for coffee. Maybe for vodka. Maybe they make some good vodka there. All right, everyone. So have a good evening and thanks for joining. I'll see you next week. Bye.